finished objects, one of which I started quite a while ago, and I'm very happy to have finished. It is the Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. Let's see. Here we go. And it is a bralette that I'll be wearing as a layering piece. It's been knit up. I've knitted up in Lana Grassa Cashmere Fine 16, I think it's called. And it's in this dusty pink color. It's very lightweight and soft. And I think that's because the yarn is a chainette. So yeah, I tried it on as I went because it is a fitted bralette, so I wanted to make sure that it would work. I tailored it to my body, so I cast on with a size small, the number of stitches for a size small, and then I increased to a size large bust area, which worked out really well for me. So I really love that about this design, that you can decide as you go what you want your sizing to be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, it was a simple knit, but also there were a few things that I had not done before. Like, I've never made straps for a garment out of, it's kind of a double-sided I-cord, and it's really lovely. I think that will be really soft and not really dig into my shoulders too much, which is always good. And yeah, I think just the decreasing here was a little bit unique, and I had not done kind of these triangle sections. Like, I'd never constructed a garment with triangle sections here, so that was new. It was very simple, but I'd never done it before, I realized as I was doing it. So yeah, I would definitely like to do this one again. I think it will be great in the winter as a layering piece as I go for walks, and I can't wait to wear it. I haven't worn it much yet, even though I know it fits. I just wanted to keep it nice for showing off before it kind of becomes a regular piece. So yeah, that's my Ripple Bralette. Another item that I've just recently finished was this little teddy cardigan, which was part of Fran of Woolen Hearted's test knit for her little amazing mohair teddies that she makes. She drafted a pattern for her teddies, and I was very happy to be able to join in with that test knit. And I chose to use Jaimieson of Shetland Spindrift, and I used the colors Twilight and Ivory, and it's just beautiful, beautiful yarn. I could knit with it for the rest of my life and nothing else and be completely satisfied. Just the range of colors, the texture, the heathered nature of the colors. Oh gosh, yeah, I loved it. And I also love this little cardigan. It was super quick and easy to knit up, and lovely that you can choose to do it plain or striped. So look out for that pattern. I think she's planning to release it this year, so keep an eye out. Yeah, so I can't wait to find a teddy that fits this. We don't have one yet, so we'll be on the lookout for a teddy to fit into this cardigan, kind of going the other way, whereas you normally knit for something you already have. I'm knitting for something I don't yet have, but it was super fun. Yeah. My cousin had her first baby recently, and I was really excited that I got to knit for her, and I chose this cute little cardigan pattern by Von Hintermstein, I think it is, and it's called A Warm Welcome Baby, and it doesn't have buttons yet. I'm going to add some buttons, but it's super cute. I knit it in Cascade 220 Sport, which is a great workhorse yarn. I've used it before in other designs, mainly in the little cotton rabbits animal designs that Julie Williams has done. I've used it for that before. So I know it's a great yarn, but I'd never used it for a garment that I can remember anyway. And it's knit up really nicely. There are these cute little details here, little X's kind of reminds me of kisses, kisses and hugs. And there's some more here. And it's an integrated pocket here as well, which I can't imagine a 6-month-old or a 9-month-old will get much use out of, but it's just so cute. Maybe a little softie or something could go in there. It's so cute. And it's a really nice design because you can knit it, it's in garter, and you can knit it almost seamlessly. And she explains how to do that in the pattern. So I would highly recommend the pattern. It's probably one of the best laid out patterns I've ever knit from. So that was really pleasant, and I would like to do that again because it's a nice result. I think it's pretty tidy. You can see on the sleeves here that there's a crochet type seaming that you do kind of as you're knitting the rest of the cardigan. So there's not much, there weren't many little bits to weave in or trim off. So yeah, I would recommend that, and I think I might do that one again. So last time I mentioned that I was knitting a sweater, a cardigan for my daughter, and that is out of Lettlopi, and it's an Icelandic design by Hélène Magnússon called Birgitta, and I have actually just steeked. So that was my first steek, and it went super well. I did a reinforced steek with needle felting, and I think that was probably unnecessary because Lettlopi is just so, it has lots of tooth, as they say, so it's very sticky, and the yarn wasn't going anywhere. But it just made me feel better because it was my first steek, and I just wanted to be extra confident going in for the first snip, and I think it went really well. No drama or trauma in the process, so I feel really good about it. Now, I still haven't done my sweater surgery on the sleeves, which are enormously long, which I mentioned last time, my mistake, but I haven't yet had the opportunity to try it on my daughter because it's just been unseasonably warm this autumn. So as soon as it gets a bit chillier and I think she's in the right frame of mind, I will slip this on her and check out the actual length that I think she needs her sleeves. And then I need to cast on for the button band, or pick up stitches for the button band rather, and choose buttons, which is the fun part. And I'll probably do some ribbon on the inside to hide my steek, and also to stabilize my buttons as they kind of need a counterweight sometimes, depending on the weight of the buttons and how much you're tugging on them. So yeah, overall it's going well. I'm really enjoying working with rustic yarns, of course. I really love that. So, and I'm just loving these colors as well. And I'm still very happy with my color choice. I noticed that Melody Hoffman is hosting a natural sock along, I think she's calling it. And I've always been intrigued with the idea of knitting socks up in 100% wool with no nylon and non-superwash. And so I thought I'd join in. I know how holy socks can become, so I think a lot of the natural sock along idea is getting the right twist in the yarn that you choose, and also the right gauge, that you're knitting at a tight enough gauge that it can take a high friction in wear. So I've looked and looked, of course. I've always been looking for this elusive yarn that is 100% wool, but will also hold up to lots of friction. And I've chosen a couple, and the one I'm starting with is Mondim by Retrosaria. And it's this lovely rosy pink color, beautiful warm pink, and I am loving it. And I'm actually using one of Melody's patterns called, I think I'm gonna butcher it because I haven't heard her say it. I haven't listened to how she's saying it, but I think it's like Eine, something like that. And I'll put a link. But it's this beautiful, like, embroidered looking floret design. And I'll post a picture so you can see the finished result because mine isn't quite finished yet, so you won't get the effect. But it's all done with mostly with knitting and baubles, and then at the end she demonstrates how to get the stems embroidered on. So here's my progress so far. So I'm using Mondim for the base for my sock, and then for the embroidery I'm using this beautiful Jaimison's Spindrift in, I think it's called Dog Rose, which is beautiful, a beautiful pink. Again, I'm definitely on the pink, in the pink vibe right now. And then I'm going to use this lovely hand-spun, hand-dyed, what Mark calls cough tea, my husband calls cough tea, which is a blend of coffee and tea in the dye pot. And so the three paired together I think are lovely. Let me get the pig paw up here. Let's see, how can I show this? There we go. So I think that will be really lovely together, and it's a little bit springy, but because it's such warm colors, it also reminds me of autumn. So I'm working the bubbles in kind of a labor-intensive way. I'm doing each bubble and then tying off and, weaving in each bubble. So I know there are other ways of doing this, like stranding across on each bubble row, but I really didn't want to carry any floats that long. And I know I can, I've done it before, but it's a sock, and so I really wanted it to be like super smooth going in, and I thought I'd just try it this way. It is labor intensive, but if you just set your mind to it and decide this is what I'm doing and try and enjoy it and have your cup of tea or whatever, that's fine. So I'm not bothered by it. It's just, I will admit it is the harder way to go. But I'm loving the result so far, and I think it's going to be really beautiful once it's all finished. So I can't wait to be trying these out, and also just to see how the sock yarn holds up, how this Mondim holds up to wear, and whether I develop any holes and how long it takes and all of that. So I'm pretty excited to be in this natural sock along. So happy that somebody's hosting something like this so we can all learn together and take our notes and compare and figure out the best way. Another yarn I picked up is this Tukuwool, which is what she calls for, what Melody calls for in the pattern. And it's their fingering, which I guess has a pretty high twist and is working for socks. So I'm going to give that a go at some point. I only got one skein because I wasn't really sure where I was going with it, like what pattern, and it is a little bit pricey for me for socks, so I wanted to be sure that I knew what I was doing, and maybe also just try it as a contrast color on a pair of socks instead of doing a whole sock out of this. But I'm pretty excited by the feel of it, and the look of it is gorgeous. I love this color, and yeah, we'll see. It's 100% finished wool, which is pretty cool too. And I got all of this from the Woolly Thistle, which I love the Woolly Thistle. Thank you, Woolly Thistle, for connecting me back to the UK and with all of their stock of European yarn. And I just love that I can keep that connection up, and I feel very connected to Europe and the UK, even though I've moved, and I do feel quite sad about that sometimes, that I've moved and I kind of miss it. So this is my one small way to connect back. So thank you, Woolly Thistle. I also was able to pick up from the Woolly Thistle this Plotulopi, which is my first time knitting or working with Plotulopi, which I know I'm a little bit late to the game, but it's so amazing. I've never knit with something so amazing. So I'm pretty much in love. I'm kind of speechless. I think it's just the softest yet most rustic and unprocessed seeming yarn I've ever worked with. And I don't know. I don't know. I just feel so inspired by it. I think I could wear only Plotulopi and be happy. So I've been fiddling with it, and it's just so dreamy. It's so dreamy to sit somewhere calmly and watch the plate, the strand come off the plate, like just so delicately. And okay, I could wax on, but I want to say that a lot of people were talking about how it breaks super easily Well, I'm a loose knitter, a loose continental knitter, combination knitter as well. And I have not broken it like on accident at all. And I have knit a fair bit with it now that I've had it for the last week or week and a half. And I think that's probably because I just have loose tension, and I do wrap my yarn kind of around my pinky and then around my hand, whichever way, through my index finger. And so it's not that I'm not holding it. Like, I don't like have a very loosey-goosey yarn coming off my hand. It's actually winding around once, twice, 2 different fingers. So, but I think it's just something to do with the way that I hold my hand or something, and I don't like have a very strong grip. So all that to say, I'm not breaking it, and that's lovely. And it feels kind of like I was made for this, which sounds really, really cheesy, but I'm sure I wasn't made for this. But it just feels very natural and easy. So that's really delightful. And I think that to break it, like, I really had to pull hard. Like, I feel like I really have to tug. So I don't know. I think maybe it's just everybody's different. So, because I just heard so many people talking about how it was hard to work with, and some people still tell me like it's so hard to get going. So I don't know. Maybe just knit a bit looser like me. I don't know. I don't know what to say. But I am so excited. I've got a design coming through it, and I started this design kind of before I got the Plotulopi, just I was thinking about my daughter and how she loves the moon, and I wanted to design something that kind of looked to her like a moon, and so that she could like identify it as a moon. And so I had some very obvious design ideas where it was like kind of real strong texture and the shape of moons or the moon phases, but that just quickly became like too obvious to me. I wanted something more subtle. And so I gradually kind of worked with different things, different techniques to come up with this design here, which this is done in Jaimieson Spindrift because I had it extra laying around from the test knit that I was doing. And you can see here this little like crescent shape here, or it looks kind of like a mountain too, is kind of my idea of a moon shape. So it kind of looks like a moon, but yeah, anyway, that's where that came from, that moon shape. And then there are a couple of other textures here, like this wrap here in the middle, and I'm just loving the way it looks so far. And this is kind of, I'm thinking that this could be a nice border to a shawl perhaps. So I started with that, and this is lovely and light, and I really love it in the Jaimison's Spindrift. And then I got the Plotulopi, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to try this. I have to try a few things with this Plotulopi. And so I did, and I am just in love with this. So it's just very textural. I also added some baubles here above the crescent shapes, and that just did it for me. I think I love this wrap here with the Plotulopi. It's just so fluffy, and it thickens up because of the unspun nature. And I'm not sure about this area here, so I might change that, but I'm thinking about doing some seed stitch as well, which is up here. So it's so light. I'm using single strand of Plotulopi, and it's just so beautiful. So we'll see where that goes. I'm going to keep working on it, and I will keep you posted on that. It's so exciting to be working on a design of my own. I've always had design ideas, but I've just not always had the time or brain space to work on them. So I'm pretty excited that I got that out, and it's in Plotulopi, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'll keep you posted, and if I get to the point where I need a test knit, I'll shout out. And if you're interested, then yeah, that'll be exciting. So that's my Plotulopi journey so far. Last time I mentioned that I was looking for a colorful fiber just to try spinning with. And I found someone on Etsy called Banshee Fiber Arts, I think it's called. I'll link below. And I found beautiful, beautiful colors that I just was totally drawn to. Not for wearing, usually, because I'm not really I don't know, wearing rainbowy things these days. I don't know why, but just more drawn to the neutrals and muted colors a bit more. So anyway, but I wanted something colorful to spin with because I thought it would be really fun to watch the color go in and come back out with applying. And so I found this beautiful, beautiful braid, and it's merino, silk, and bamboo blend. And I'm not sure how I'm going to prepare that to spin yet, but it's just gorgeous. It's kind of my special skein or special braid that I'm going to save once I'm kind of a little bit more skilled, hopefully. And I got another one from the same artist that is just BFL, and it's another beautiful rainbow, and I've actually already prepared it, and I've prepared it to do a fractal spin, which is kind of where you split it in half lengthwise, and then you split one of the halves that you have from that split, and then you split it down further. So I've got one huge big half, and then I've got 4 little quarters, or eighths, I guess. I don't know. Lots of little ones, 4 little ones. So I am gonna try that. It's a little bit ambitious or adventurous for me because I'm obviously a newbie, but I'm pretty excited about that. So I will keep you posted on that. And I can't wait to see the colors come together and how they play. I've seen a lot of cool examples out there, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I had a lovely comment about where to find more fiber, and that was the Flock and Fiber Festival in Albany in Oregon. And so my husband and we took our daughter too. We went to that festival last weekend, and it was amazing. There were so many people there, so many vendors. I just could have chatted all day. I'm not a huge crowd person, so I do find it kind of exhausting, but also I go to these things so rarely that it's just kind of like my social moment about yarn outside of these 4 walls, like for the year. So it was very fun, and I did find some fiber. So I tried to remember everybody that I visited at the festival, but unfortunately I was just overwhelmed with all of the beautifulness. And then also I had my daughter, and I was trying to find my husband at times, and it all converged to mean that I didn't remember everything. So I'm going to name people that I can remember, and then I can't remember everything. If you happen to know where I got something, then please post it in the comments. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So the first one I'll mention is this Apple Creek Merinos. Here's the logo, and it was actually one of the last ones I found, but it's just so beautiful. It's this lovely merino, and it's dyed with pear wood, which is growing. They have pear trees growing on their farm, I guess, and they are dyeing with pear wood, and that is just so lovely. I love this pinky, warm pink, soft muted color. I think that's going to spin up beautifully. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I also was able to get some Polworth, and I've heard great things about Polworth. I've never tried it, obviously. I've never tried a lot of things, so I'm pretty excited to try it. But we got this very big amount of Polworth, and it's pretty silky. I'm just going to pull off a little bit here so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's like really floaty and gorgeous. So I think that's going to be really fun to spin up, and it's mixed in with a little bit, it's blended with some silk, so that's really beautiful. So yeah, that I don't know what I'll do with that because it's just, I think it's undyed. It's just kind of a cream base color, so I don't know what we'll do. I mean, we love to hand dye, so we could dye some, or maybe we'll blend it with something before we spin it. I don't know. So I'll keep you updated on that when we start working on it. Another vendor I visited was called The Art in Me, and this is a combined family vendor situation. And I will try and link what I can below, but I can't remember. Her mom also has had a stall, and she has goats, I think, and had mohair, I believe. But this was an Angora fiber stall, and it is beautiful. I've never touched something so soft in my life. I mean, it's almost not there. Like, you're touching it and you're like, am I touching something? It's so light. So I got that color, this cloudy, moody, kind of bluey, purpley color. Kind of a periwinkle, I'd say, I guess, from this lighting anyway. And then I got this lovely creamy and gold fluff, and I cannot wait to try this. I just think we needed to experience it, is what I'm thinking. So not sure what we'll do with it, but it's just beautiful. And there was another lady there who had knit up this beautiful duck, I think, or goose softie, and she had stuffed the inside of it with Angora, and it was gorgeous, like so soft, and like that whole thing was knitted up in Angora as well. And oh my, so some lucky baby is gonna get that beautiful little ducky. And so I think there are many uses for Angora. It is a little bit pricier because it's so, I don't know, maybe because it's labor intensive, or they're just small animals, the bunnies. But yeah, so I didn't get a whole lot, sorry for the crinkling, but I got enough to play with, so we'll see where we go with that. Another stall I visited and yet cannot remember the name of, unfortunately, because I think I visited it like maybe 3 times, which is really sad. I had plenty of opportunity. I don't know what happened with that one, but it was this beautiful fiber felting stall where there were all these like gnomes and pumpkins and just beautiful. And I was carrying my daughter at one point there, and she was like, pumpkins, and she was so excited. So we went over and looked at the pumpkins, and I've done a little bit of needle felting, as you know, but not very much, and definitely never tried to create like an object needle felting, but I'm totally open to that, obviously. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll try and do a pumpkin for you, Mabel. And I went over to the colors, and there are just such a rainbow of colors. And, you know, they're so reasonably priced when you look at them, and it's like, well, okay, maybe I'll just get the rainbow. And so I got way more than I need for a pumpkin. I mean, I could do many different colors of pumpkin here. But I thought, it's never like enough fiber, right? I won't regret that. So I'm pretty excited. I just really thought of my mom when I saw this color. She loves this kind of blue with a little bit of purple in there. So maybe I'll do something for her. Don't know what. But yeah, it's just so fun and inspiring. And I mean, there were other people there trying to choose their colors too. And it was just like, oh, so fun. Little bundles of joy. So let's see how my pumpkin turns out. It might be a bit wonky, but I'm sure my daughter will love it, whatever it turns out to be. Hopefully it looks like a pumpkin in the end. But yeah, that was a fun stall, and I really wish I could remember the name, so maybe I'll try and find it and put it below. Today I'm wearing my Shaelyn shawl, which is not fully visible, but I did talk about it last time in the episode, so I'll try and just kind of show you. So it's this beautiful lace and stockinette shawl, and I've done it in the Fiber Company's Road to China Light, and it's so dreamy. I didn't do a very big version, but it fits just fine, and it's keeping me nice and snuggly, and the rain has started, so I'm enjoying the warm woolies now in comfort. It's just turned colder here, so I'm really enjoying knitting and all the warm drinks. I think I have like 4 or 5 warm drinks a day, and that's very okay with me. So I hope you also are enjoying all the knitting and spinning and fiber felting, whatever you're doing with fiber and or other arts. And I will see you next time. Bye.